Okay, so we are good to go.
Yes, I think I see this right now.
So welcome. I welcome you. Okay. So thank you. So welcome everybody to this class. So this class will be looking at biology, and we'll be trying to see how we would use your semester, your entire 001 to 004, to create a kind of full visual picture, or would I call it a mental picture for you guys to see how it flows. Okay, someone's hand is up, please. I don't know.
Yes, it's me. Sorry, good evening. Please, could you confirm from your end that this class is recording, just to be sure?
Yes, it is. It is. You just started recording. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Okay, so as I was saying, if you've been trying to probably this particular lesson is going to be more like a story kind of where you would probably be seeing what's going on through my mind, and I'll be talking to you guys at the same time. So if you've tried your biology and probably from the beginning of the semester, it's seeming like what is actually happening. This lesson is trying to make things a little bit less complex. So there's a common misconception that has been happening where most people, when they're trying to read their books, they would seem as though they are seeing that they don't really understand. They would see something like all these big words like xylem, phloem, parenchyma, and stuff like that. And these things can be, what I say, can be really. Could you do me a favor to turn down your mic so that other people could hear it much or hear me more clearer? Thank you. So as I was saying, these words can be, I say, counterproductive. They could drop your morale. They could make you feel like, I don't think this thing is going to be what I'll be reading. Alone, just seeing some of all these heavy words could
So
just
I can't
make
hear
you close
you.
your book. Can anybody hear? If you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. You don't need to turn on your mic. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay. Okay. I think probably if you cannot hear me, or maybe I'm seeming like, or it's seeming like as though my network is cracking, just try logging off and coming in again. Try logging off and coming in. So as I was trying to explain, yeah, someone's hand is up. Evans, your hand is up. Yeah, Evans, go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead. Turn on your mic. Okay, so I'll go ahead, and I would probably not be taking any questions for now. Probably when I would ask for questions, I would let you know. In order for us not to waste so much time, as I was saying, um, there's actually a strong misconception that actually has been happening in the idea of biology. People find biology terrifying, while some people see biology as interesting. So the difference between these two kind of persons is kind of, would I say, what you find interesting, but it's supposed not to be so. It's supposed to be something that every single person understands. Because to me, biology is one of the, would I say, simplest, though it's very bulky, but it's one of the simplest subjects in sciences. I find it very interesting because I think it's very pictographic. It's very pictographic rather. There are many pictures, there are many things that could give you mental images and help you remember things. So, but it's not really so for some people. But this lesson will be trying to simplify that or clarify those ambiguities. So today we are going to be taking 19 of our core topics in the entire syllabus. We have, I think, twice 19. The syllabus is twice of 19. That's around 38 topics based on how we grouped it. We are trying to squeeze all those stuffs to give you this particular lesson. We're trying to squeeze 19 of those topics, that is half of it, to give you this particular lesson. So we'll be trying to make things more simple. But one thing I want everybody to put in their mind is take the idea of a university campus. All of us are probably in the university. So just take the idea of a university campus in your mind, because we're using that as our case study. So you can be able to understand how the university hostel functions, how rules are being made, how the rules are being broken, and actually how they share food in some dormitories where they give food. you'll be able to understand the foundation of all living things. So as I said before, in case your mic is turned on, just help us turn it down. So let's go straightly into the lesson. So we'll be starting with the origins of living things. First, there is many of us might not have seen it like this, but they always there scientists or biologists believe that, or some biologists believe that the whole universe was built from just a combination. It started from a combination of gases, where there was some gases at the beginning, just different
No,
gases like hydrogen.
no, Mike.
Then this hydrogen, someone's mic is on.
I can't say
Chiamaka,
anything.
please, Chiamaka, or is it Johnny? Can you turn off your mic? Thank you.
Oh,
And please
Mike.
keep your phone somewhere you
So,
want to watch. Tijani, sorry, okay,
so
Tijani.
Tijani, your mic is on. I don't know, just turn down your mic. So as I was saying, these organisms, they believe that living organisms started from gases, and how these gases were was they were just hovering in the environment. I don't even know how these people had this kind of mind, but they believe that these gases were existing billions of years ago, and lightning struck, and as this lightning struck these gases, they kind of underwent a kind of reaction that led to the formation of the first organic molecule. Led to the formation of the first organic molecule. So take note, this first organic molecule was formed from a mixture of gases and lightning. So there's actually a scientist that actually made this proof, that proved this kind of thing in the laboratory. We'll get there, but just take note of this, that they, according to biology, they believe that organic molecules started from gases, mixture of gases that were struck by lightning. If you watch Flash, just put it in your head that, okay, Barry Allen became Flash by strike of lightning on him and it became a Flash. So the same thing they said, living organism or living things in general started from gases. Then when lightning struck these gases, they became organic molecule. The first organic molecule was created. So having said all those stuff, they then said after these molecules then started staying and started hitting themselves, different other molecules were happening because other lightnings were happening. Then as these molecules started interacting with themselves, they kind of lock themselves together to form a tiny bubble. And this bubble, then, because of these molecules, different molecules come together, sticking themselves together, and they kind of were locked or trapped in a kind of thin or tiny flat or tiny fat bubble. This bubble then enclose some levels of or some kind of gases to form the first cell. So to me, this thing is actually silly. It does not really make sense, but this is what they said. They said living things started from gases. Then these gases were struck by lightning and they formed the first molecule. Then this first molecule, they were then moving around. And so for some reason, some of them were not able to move around. They got trapped somehow. And when they were trapped, a tiny bubble then began to enclose these trapped molecules and form the earliest cell. So as silly as this sounds, just take note that that's how they said that your earliest cell were from chemicals or molecules that came together and were trapped in a bubble to form the earliest cell. So now, as much as I want to not believe this that they're saying, there is actually proof. They say they have scientific proof on how these things are true. And they say some of their scientific proof is through fossils. If you've heard of fossils or if you know what fossils are old material or dead decay material that have been over for ages, that have been around for ages. So due to scientific methods, they were able to see these things still existing. So they say this is their proof that tells that this thing is actually true. They say ancient rocks, if you check ancient rocks, you would find some trapped molecules or trapped microscopic bubbles that are actually microorganisms. So they said that this is how they believe that living things form. I don't know how many people believe this thing, but just take it in your head that they believe that these are how living things started. So now, people like me would have argued with them, but they said they did not just do it anyhow. They did it through what we call scientific methods. So if you would have seen scientific methods, but scientific method is just a simple arrangement of that people do every time. But they say if you can be able to continuously go through this step, to get the same results, you are carrying out scientific method. So what is this scientific method? It's when you are able to observe something first. Then once you've observed something first, you assume something, which they call an hypothesis. You would assume something. Then once you've assumed something, you would then try to examine or test that particular your assumption or those your assumptions. Then if you can test those assumptions and they happen to be true, and somebody can then replicate that same thing somewhere else and get the same result, then they'll say that particular assumption is no longer an assumption, but now it's a theory. So all these theories we've been hearing, theory of this, theory of that, theory of this, is actually because they've undergone scientific methods to validate them. So when these scientific methods or when these theories have then been tried to be made a lie continuously and they've not been found wanting, they then upgrade these theories from being theories to become laws. That's why we have the laws of gravity, the laws of electricity, and different laws. So there are different theories, but theories can be proven wrong. Just take note, theories can be proven wrong. Why they still leave something as a theory is when, okay, to the large extent, maybe to 70 degrees, it seems true, but we've not really tried to test this completely to say that it is not breakable. So law of gravity is saying that what you throw up will definitely come down. That's the law of gravity. So in real sense, they've tried it everywhere in the world, and every time you throw something up, it's always come down. So because it was holding true everywhere around the world, it was able to be called a law, even though it would have been called the theory of gravity. You get? So now this scientific method, if you're writing down, scientific method involves these steps now, which I already mentioned, but now I'll be trying to give you in a structured form. If you're writing down, just write the first step of a scientific method is observation. The next step is hypothesis. After creating an hypothesis, the next thing you do is then to test the hypothesis. Then once you've tested the hypothesis, if you find any error, you will then re-theorize again or create another new hypothesis. But just know that after you observe, you get an hypothesis, you test the hypothesis, the next thing is then to compound a theory out of your results. So now, so you will not cram this thing I'm saying now. I'll be giving you real life example of how you actually do these things. Most of us, we do this in every single time. We do it every time, but we don't really know the kind of scientific method according to how they term it. So now, most of the times we will see, let me give an example of a scientific method, or let me use scientific method to test something. Let's say we notice that somebody is maybe having, which example? Let me say someone sleeps in class every time. That is something that we've observed. Scientists, when they would always start with observation, they will observe something abnormal. They would always start observing something. So let's say, let me see somebody on the call. Gabriel. Let's say we just see Gabriel sleeps in this class. Gabriel and say Chiamaka, they sleep in this class. We observe them, say, these people, they always sleep. Every time they come to this class, they would always sleep. We would then say, this is an observation that we're trying to do. But now, for us to be able to know why, we'll use scientific method to find out why this is happening. So then we'll now write in our book, observation, Chiamaka and Gabriel sleeps in class. That's our observation. So then the next thing after an observation is to create an hypothesis. So what's an hypothesis? Hypothesis in simple words is just make an assumption as to the reason why that thing happens. Making an assumption why an observation happens is your hypothesis. So you now say, okay, probably the reason why Chiamaka sleeps or Gabriel sleeps in class is because they maybe they eat heavy at night. That's one hypothesis. Another hypothesis could be that probably they work late and they sleep late at night. That's another reason. Then now maybe another one is they'll say maybe because they usually wear red clothes to sleep in the night. They're just creating silly assumptions. So that's how hypothesis is. It's just possible reasons why we think it is the reason. Just making assumptions is not an hypothesis. So you can write hypothesis and put in brackets assumptions. So hypotheses are just typical assumptions that have not been proven. After you've made this assumption, you now be like, okay, so the next step for proving whether this thing is the real truth is we'll test this thing. So do not tell somebody, okay, our first hypothesis was saying they eat heavy food. So you, like 3 people, eat heavy food at night and see, let's see whether you come to school tomorrow, you would sleep. That's the first test. the test on the second person or the second hypothesis is now going to be, okay, they said the next thing they work late or they stress at night, they sleep late. That tell people should sleep late at night and see whether, so we'll observe people later and see whether people really, really sleep in class. Then now you will then the next person say wear red clothes. The next 3 people wear red clothes and come to school and sleep in the night. Let's would also start sleeping in class. So now when they carry out this test now, by the next day they will now see, okay, the people that slept, that wore red clothes, did they sleep in class? If they don't sleep, that hypothesis is flawed. So they have to cancel out that hypothesis and say it is not true. They found out that that particular hypothesis is not true. So then now say is now, okay, people that slept late at night, did all of them sleep? Did all of them sleep in class? If all of them slept in class, they'll be like, probably that's a possible reason. Then now that's the people that ate heavy food at night. If all of them slept at night, they would not that possible reason. So then now we are not possible reasons why. So then now, if some people eat heavy at night and they don't sleep, they will not be like, that means probably it is not really the food eating heavy at night. That one will subtract out. Let's say the reason that they now say, okay, majority that happened, or people that slept late at night tend to sleep in class. They will not say the theory of sleeping in class. They've created a theory after they've done tests. The next thing they've done is a theory of sleeping, telling all of it. There's a theory is that once you sleep late at night, you will definitely sleep in class. So this theory, they will now start publishing. This person has created a theory. Say Felicity has created a theory, and the theory is the theory of sleeping in class. Whoever that's what theory she created. Then now, if we now want to make this theory a law, we cannot just use only Felicity's test. We will not tell people in America, say, okay, people in America try this thing. So people that sleep late at night, would they also sleep in class? People that do that same thing in China, would they also sleep in class? If they should do everything happen true continuously all around the world, that theory will now leave from theory to become a law. This is the law of sleeping in class. And at night will definitely sleep in class. So I don't know if this particular trail of thought is clear about this scientific method. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Hello, can anybody
Yes,
hear me?
it's clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. So that's
Yes, sir.
that
Yes,
the
sir.
main thing I want you guys to understand. The main thing I want you guys to understand is different steps. The different steps is observation. The next is hypothesis. The next is tests. The theory, propounding of theory. Then after theory propoundment is then formation of laws. So these are the scientific methods. He is not, although I even say this is the order of theory formation. The first one, observation, hypothesis, test, and theory. The next one, observation, test, hypothesis, theory. The next one, say test, observation. You should know that the flow is always starting from observation, then next to hypothesis, next to test, then theory, then law. Take note of that. So now let's move on to our next slide. We'll be talking about cells now. So we'll be talking about cells now. So now, how do cells work? Let me see. I'm trying to check something. Sorry, give me a minute. Okay, so let me refresh this. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to refresh something. So this page will start afresh. Okay. I went back to the beginning, but I'm going back to where we are already. So we are in cell organization. So now we knew, if you can remember what I said, how the first cell was created. They said when molecules first started coming together, they then formed the first cell. That was how they said it. So then now, cell is not just abstract diagram. It's a single hostel. Remember I told you I would use a campus now to explain this biological term. So now we can see a cell as a hostel in school. A cell is just like a hostel where there are many other things inside that hostel. So now, from normal definition, a cell is actually, in real sense, if you check it in biology, a cell is the basic structural, functional, and biological units of all organisms. So just know this one in your head. In case they actually define it, just know that cell is the structural, functional, and biological units of all known organisms. But in our example, and there are different types of cells. We have the human red blood cell, the bacterium, plant guard cells, and different ones. But now, we are trying to now use an analogy to categorize what a cell is. We are trying to now use the host cell as our own cell so that everybody can be able to see what a cell looks like. So now, there are now cell theories that were propounded that said, okay, how are these cells formed? So when these people said the first, I don't know who were those people that said those first things, saying that cell was formed from molecules that came together and were tied together in a bubble. They formed what they formed to call, we have a cell. So now, they now started using scientific method to try to prove how cells were truly formed. Then they now created what they call the cell theory. So this cell theory now, we have three of them, or three key ones. So these cell theories, we have that the first one is that all living things are made up of cells. All living things are made up of cells. That's the first cell theory. Then after that cell theory, the next one is that cell is the basic unit of life. This is the second theory of cell. Then the next one is that all cells come from pre-existing cells. That's what they're not saying is that all living things, anything that has life in it, living things, and living things are things that have life in them. Every single thing that's alive has cells. That's the first one. The second one is that it is the basic unit of life. What they mean by basic is that it is that smallest thing that if you want to break any human being down, you will break them down to the point where you cannot break again. And that point where you cannot break again is what they call the basic unit of life. So then the next one is that all cells are from previously existing cells. So that's why we know that now there's a cell. All cell would always come from another cell that has existed before. No cell will just stay and happen all of a sudden. It's always come from previously existing cell. So this was a theory that was propounded. So now, in our own hostel arrangement, what we are saying is that the cell theory says that every living thing on this campus is made of hostel. That in life, there's always going to be hostel, and every hostel was made from a formerly existing hostel. So you see how silly this thing sounds. That every new hostel can only be built from an old hostel. That's what that third theory is trying to talk about. Why I'm using this example is so that these big grammar sometimes would make more sense to you, or you'll be able to recognize it very well, and you don't need to cram it. So the third cell theory said that all cells come from previously existing cells. So what they are saying is that if you are trying to look at it in terms of hostel, all new hostels would always come from an old hostel. So to some extent, this theory is true, but why they cannot make this a cell law is because some people can invalidate this particular theory. So you understand why they still leave the name as cell theory, because it can be altered. I hope everything is flowing in your mind. We are seeing why things take the name theories and why they take the name laws. So cell theory can be invalidated. So, and there are three of them. There are three cell theories. So then now, let's see. We now said that there are different types of cells. We said there's red blood cells and blah, 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 blah. So now in this our cell analogy now, the cell has what they call a core center. And that core center of every cell is what they call the nucleus in normal biology. But in our own class, this is our mini class here, online class, that cell, we call the cell the hostel. So the nucleus in an hostel view now is going to be like the porter's office or the warden's office of that hostel. If you are in a hostel, that porter office where they always tell everybody will always come in and say, okay, you're supposed to be a member of the cell, they'll admit you to their hostel. So that's how the nucleus is. Like that's this head center, like the place where the guy usually stay. So that's how the nucleus is. But based on biology, they said the nucleus is the membrane-bound organelles containing the cell's genetic material. So in simple terms, the nucleus is that thing that contains the main center, like the organ. What determines what a cell will become in future is the nucleus. It controls the cell growth and the reproduction. It is the site where everything in that particular cell, like now, let me leave our hostel analogy. Let me use us now, human beings. we have everybody had parents. All of us here has a parent or had parent. Yeah, had parent. Let me use had or had and has parents. Has a parent. Oh, English. Everybody has a parent or has a source. Yeah, that's the word. Everybody has a parent or has parents. Yeah, why is this English stressing me? Oh God, English. So everybody has parents, and your parents had what they combined together to make you. So in a way, that cell theory makes sense because you did not just come out from nowhere. You came from a previously existing cell. That's your parents. So now, your parents now, what actually made them transfer part of their traits to you is their nucleus. And in that their nucleus is where that trait that we was able to transfer. Like some of us, we have our parents' nose, we have our father's nose, we have our mother's lips, we have our father's height, we have our mother's eyebrow. So what determines what is shared from a parent to the offspring is that nucleus. It is responsible for the DNA replication and the transcription. So it's also responsible for your cell growth. So aside the nucleus being responsible for transferring traits from parents to these children, it's also responsible for the parent itself to grow. So just take note of that. That's how important this nucleus is. It's one of the most important centers of this. So now, what is this DNA that we mentioned? So inside this, now we are now going back to our hostel example. Inside this locked office, that's the porter's office, is the ultimate non-negotiable rule book. That's that porter's log book, where they will write everybody that is there, everybody that is in that hostel. So that's what a DNA is like. It is that record that carries every single thing within the hostel. The DNA is like the log book that contains every information about that particular cell. So everything in a real life sense, the DNA is just like us in a cell in a real life. The DNA is everything that has every information about you. It has every information about you. That's what the DNA is. So in the hostel side, it's just like as if a record that has every information about who is participant of that particular hostel. So the DNA dictates every single thing that happens in the hostel. It is what tell you by 8, everybody must sleep. By 9, everybody must do this. But that's what the DNA is. It's what is responsible for. It contains who is in the hostel and what they do within the hostel. That's how powerful the DNA is. So the DNA, let me see, let me give you in chemistry term, the DNA is known as deoxyribonucleic acid. So simply put, just put in your head, just say deoxyribo. That's the D. Deoxyribo. Deoxyribo is representing the D, while nucleic is representing the N, acid is representing the A. That's why they came up with the deoxy. That's this DNA that we are seeing. So deoxyribo is D, nucleic is N, A is acid. So this is the molecule that carries the genetic instruction of all living things. So every single living thing has a DNA. No matter how small, ants have DNA. Plants have DNA. Plants have DNA. Every single thing that exists has a DNA. So now this DNA now, they have, if you want to now look at DNA, DNAs are like parallel lines, 2 parallel lines that are connected together. They call them double helix structure. So just take note of all these things. I'm trying to juggle between something that you can see and something that you don't really know. So a DNA is, let me just take some steps back. Everybody has cells. They break everybody down to their smallest, most unbreakable unit. You will see the cell of every human being. So now in that cell of every human being, there is now an internal structure inside that cell that controls the main thing that is inside that particular cell. And that internal structure is what they call the nucleus. And inside that nucleus now, we now have what they call the nucleic acid. So you see how small or how deep this thing is going. So this DNA, they are made up of 3 types: the A, the T, the C. Somebody asked the question saying, did the virus have DNA or RNA? Don't worry, let's move forward. We'll see it as we move forward.
Sir, please, can you come again? I don't understand that part.
You said what? Somebody said something.
Sir, please, can you come again? Yes, I don't understand this part very well.
Okay, I was saying that DNAs are they are like the main thing that if you would have a child tomorrow that will look like you, it's because of your DNA. If your DNA does not carry information about you, no matter what happens, if you give birth to a child tomorrow, your child will never have anything that links to you, and it's not possible. So long as you have a cell, you definitely have a nucleus. So long as you have a nucleus, you definitely have a DNA. I don't know if it's clear now.
Yes, yes, I understand.
Okay. So the DNAs, they are made up of these two structured thread. They're made up of two structured thread. While and in that structured thread, those two structured thread, they are parallel to themselves, and this parallel, this thing, they are then connected together by, like when you have two thread or two ropes. Let me say two ropes. You take two ropes, make these two ropes move together. You have to tie them together, or you have to connect these two ropes together. So what connects these two ropes together are what they call these nucleotides. They are the connecting tissue between each DNA helix. So if you've seen all those diagrams of DNA, you will see two straight, something that is bendy. Then in their center, there's something that's like ladder. Let me use a ladder. A ladder is an example, but though a ladder is not really how DNA looks completely. A ladder is too straight for a DNA. But the same way a ladder is, where you have one stick on the side, another stick on the second side, parallel to each other. Then you now have steps on the ladder. So these steps is what they have. What are these? They step A, they step T, they step C, they step D. So that's how it is. Just the same way you see a ladder. So that's how DNA is. And what I said is the main function of a DNA to carry traits, and also to transcribe it. It carries your traits and is responsible for, would make your offspring look like you. So you have a DNA, and that your DNA is what is responsible for how your offspring would look like. So now, having said that, now, how then do these cells now, when we now say people now reproduce, how then do people now, they said all cells come from previously existing cell. So how then do this cell then, or let me use the host cell. They say all host cell come from, all new host cell come from old host cell. So how is it that this old host cell just forms a new host cell? Is there any pattern on how this thing happens? So actually patterns on how this thing happens. So how it happens is what they call cell division. How an old existing cell forms a new cell is what cell meiosis. So mitosis is every have or on that cell. Can you hear me now?
No, I want to come again without me I think it's something. Okay, can you hear me?
You will. But can you hear me now?
Sorry, I cannot hear. It's breaking.
Can anybody hear me now?
No.
It's breaking.
You can hear me, just give me a thumbs up.
It's breaking.
Network is breaking. No, network, please now. Okay. Oh, so just give me anything like possible. Everybody just be patient. I will try to log out and log in again.
Is
So
it
just be
now? The
patient.
network is
I
okay
will
now. You
do
can
very
actually
well.
start now. It's okay now. No need of you going. Like no need of you leaving to go.
Is it everybody? Can everybody hear me clearly too? If you can hear me, just give a thumbs up.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So that means I would still stay here. As I was saying, I said So it's okay. You can turn off your mic now. You can turn down your mic. I mean. So as I was saying, I said we said that cells from the cell theory said that all cells come from previously existing cells. They said that all cells come from previously existing cells. So now, how do this coming from previously existing cell happen? It happens by what they call cell division. Evans, you have a question. I don't know. You can raise your hands up. Your hand is up. Question. Hello, Evan. Your hand is up. Can I hear your question? Hello, Evan. Your hand is up. Can I hear your question? The stage is involving. Don't worry. Just people should just be patient. We'll get there one after the other. Just be patient. So, as I was saying, what was I even saying, Self? So, as I was saying now, talking about how cells we are talking happen. So, I said how cells form new cells is from what they call cell division. So, cell division is a process which parent cell divides into two or more daughter cells. So, if you're writing down, take note that cell division is a process where parent cells form daughter cells. So I was saying that from the cell theory, they said that all cells exist from previously existing cells. So now, how do this thing happen? How do this previously existing cell lead to the formation of a new cell? How it happens is through cell division. If cell division does not exist, you cannot have an offspring. Anybody that is cell cannot divide can never have an offspring, and person can never grow, and the person can never even heal from wound. So cell division is very, very important. Very, very important. It happens from binary fission in bacteria to even mitosis in human skin. So there are different types of cell division, and humans like us, we undergo different types of cell division. We undergo both mitosis and meiosis. So mitosis on one hand, in case where cell breaks down into an exact duplicate of itself. So where we have one cell and it just stays and expand, and breaks into another replica of its exact self. Just like as if we just, I don't know if you watched the Matrix. If you've seen the Matrix, those guys that wear glasses, this is how they clone themselves. They just stay and they would expand and come out of themselves and become another set
Sir,
of
please come
themselves. They
again.
will duplicate themselves. That's an example of mitosis, where someone will create.
We know they hear.
Please come in again. I cannot hear you.
Same here.
Can you guys hear me clearly now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can everybody hear me clearly now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think Evan's hand is up. Evans, you have a question. Evans Chukwemeka. Can I hear your question?
Evan, hiyo ni mtashijari.
Okay. Let me just assume that Evan is not
Wait,
on
sir,
this.
can you help us project that stuff again, like the explanation?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, we can
Yes.
see this.
Okay. So as I was saying, I said this was where I was. I was talking about cell division, and I was saying why it was important. Cell division is actually what makes people be able to have offspring, and it's also what is responsible for your wound healing. If your cell don't divide, you would have an injury, and that injury will stay with you forever. So when there's an issue with cell division in a human's body, you will start experiencing stunted growth. Your cells are not dividing. Stunted growth is the result, and several other reasons. So cell division is very, very important. It's responsible for how organisms grow and how they replicate themselves. You get. So as I was saying, humans we undergo both mitosis and meiosis. Some organisms undergo just one. But let's start with mitosis. Mitosis is that kind of cell division where you just split into an exact replica of yourself. So just like I see, I was giving an example. I said in Power Rangers, people that watch Power Rangers, Mystic Force. If you've watched Power Rangers Mystic Force, you remember the blue Power Ranger. He can make himself 10. He can make himself double. That's an example of mitosis cell division. So in case you want to remember, just or if you watch the Matrix, as I said, if you watch the Matrix, this guy, those people that wear glasses in the Matrix, they can duplicate themselves. They will just become 10 of the same person. So that's an example of mitosis. So if you want to write, you can just write mitosis, matrix, or those black people. Just I've forgotten their name, but they actually can duplicate themselves. I don't know if I can remember any other one, maybe in Nigerian movie or that I can see
Sir,
something like
please come to Nigerian movies for people who don't watch anime.
Okay, let me see. Which Nigerian movie? I don't usually watch Nigerian movie. That's the reason why. But the kind of
Or
the
you
kind
can
of
use any American movie.
okay, no problem, no problem. So an example is where you have a hand. This is an example where you take a bubble. If you see a bubble, oh, no, that's not a good example. That's a good example. It's reduced in size. But an example is where you take something and you you expand it and form another of itself. Exactly the same thing. Just in simple sense. It's just like I said, you have superpowers or you have an ability to make yourself double. Not twins, so not twins. Twins, they have different mind.
Okay.
One twin can be a good person, even if they resemble. The other person is a twin that has is a good person. The other person is a twin that is a bad person. Even if they resemble, they are not. They did not undergo mitosis per se. So, is mitosis is where you have an exact replica of yourself, no change. The same human being, you make yourself two. You undergo. You're able to do mitosis. So, in your body, how mitosis happen is when you injure. If you notice, when you injure some kind of injury, when it heals, your hand would return back to exactly how it was. So what happened is mitosis. Somebody's hand is up. Can you raise up your hand? Let me hear what you're saying. Can you open your mic? Open your mic. Let me hear what you're saying.
In this mitosis that you're talking about, does it mean when it divides, the replica is identical with the main one that divided?
Yes, yes. So it is
Okay.
when something breaks and form exactly what it was. It forms two. It's like as if you are eating your cake and having two. If you have dreamed that kind of dream before, where you dream that you ate something and the food now becomes two. What you were dreaming mitosis. Your food.
Nigerian movie.
Thank you, Nigerian movie. So that's it usually happens if you are someone that does AI. Maybe you will see that you generated a video, then you will see that somebody became two for some models that are weak. So that's an example of mitosis where a cell divides and result into exactly is an exact duplicate daughter cell, which is exactly the same in every aspect with the parent. So if you want to write down based on the biological definition, it is a type of cell division that results in two daughter cells, each having the same number of chromosomes as the parent. So the key word here is the same number of chromosomes as the parent. So this is the key word. Daughters having the same number of chromosomes as the parent. That is what mitosis is. So
So
where
the
mitosis,
division is the number of chromosomes.
you said?
The division does not accept the number of chromosomes.
You said the division does not affect the number of, yes, it does not affect the
Number
number
of
of, yes, it will just cause a replica. So when we go to meiosis, you see how they differ. In mitosis, let me use another example. In mitosis, you are saying one breaks into one and one, or one forms one and one. It breaks, so but it forms one and one. It does not make sense, but that's actually how it happens. Where you have the parent vomiting another parent, or another person that looks like exactly the parent in every that is, I don't know how to put it, but that's just the idea. Something is breaking into an exact replica of itself. An example of places where it happens is tissue repair. If you remember what I was saying, healing, when you injure yourself, when you injure and it heals, most of the times you might see that your skin down in that place will not be as if you had an injury, some kind of minor injuries. So that's what happens here in tissue repairs. In growth, what makes us be able to grow? That it not be as if we, from when we are a baby, all of a sudden as we started growing, our skin or our leg now started expanding to show another bone inside, where our body can continuously expand as we're growing. What's happening is our body is creating replica of itself. The skin is replicating itself and expanding in a way that you will not notice. The same toe you had when you were small, the same skin on your toe when you were small, is the same skin that you have now that you're old, but it has grown to form a replica of itself that has expanded in that same region. That is why you can see someone that has a scar on a particular place in the body when they are small. When they grow, that scar will still be in that position. The scar will not shift away and go away from the person's body, because what's happening is that some scars might even keep expanding. Some of them will shrink because those scar tissues don't undergo mitosis. As when they undergo mitosis, the same scar will be remaining the same size, this almost relatively the same size as you grow. So just take the idea that mitosis creates photocopy. So going back to this as our example, here, I said the university built an exact identical copy of the hostel. So now we said the hostel is the cell. So for this kind of cell division is when the hostel creates an exact photocopy of the hostel. Let's say the hostel is, say, hostel A. Hostel A now creates another hostel A. The people that are inside the hostel A is exactly the same people that are inside the other new hostel A. The rule book that's inside the hostel A is exactly the same rule book that's inside the other hostel A. So that's how it is, where you have an exact copy of it. It's spiritual, but that's just how it is. Just take it like that. That's just the idea. So now meiosis, on the other hand, is now where the parent now, let me use this my diagram that is here. We have this diagram here. We see the parent is this one that is here. This one, if you can see my screen, this one that is here. It broke down to form, we had two parents. For a parent to form an offspring, it will break down and break just two of itself, instead of it to break the entire four or create an offspring that has complete four chromosomes. This is our chromosomes: 1 chromosome, 2 chromosome, 3 chromosome, 4 chromosome. So for meiosis, what happens is that the parents will take a replica of this one and donate. Take a replica of this one and donate. So it will now donate just a sample of what it has, not exactly the same thing. So one parent can donate 2. A parent that has 4 will donate 2 of itself. So now, this is the reason why we are not exactly our parent, because our parent did not give us the exact chromosome, their entire chromosomes completely. They gave us a fraction of our chromosome. That's why we can have, maybe our eyes resemble our parents, or maybe our father. Our leg resembles, we have our mother's kind of leg. Maybe the mother is kind of person that has maybe all this muscle leg. You have exactly that kind of leg. So all those kind of stuff is due to meiosis. So in simple terms, meiosis is a kind of cell division that specializes is the type of cell division that reduces the chromosome by half. So if the parent has, say, 12 chromosomes, the daughter would have 12 divided by 2. You get? So example of places where this thing happens is in egg production and sperm production. That's in men and women or humans. You undergo this kind of cell division where the parents, as I was saying, will break some part of their chromosome and donate it for their daughter cells or for their offsprings. So when you hear me say daughter cells, and it's just the same as saying offsprings. So that's just the idea of it. Mitosis forms a replica, while meiosis forms just shares part of itself. You get? So this is why you don't have exactly the same feature as your parents exactly. So as I have here, say they don't copy in our hostel example is where they created another hostel, but now they now created a new rule. In that hostel, maybe people will be sleeping by 9 instead of 10. I don't know if I'm communicating anything at all. So the idea is just they don't copy the exact whole parent structure. They take a portion of that parent structure to form a daughter. So now we'll be going to what they call Mendel's law of inheritance. Mendel's law of inheritance. Someone is saying something. I don't know. Someone's mic is on. So we are going to Mendel's law of inheritance. You said what? Okay, you have a question. Okay, ask a question.
And actually, my topic said VOC is more like a parent taking a replica of each cell and donate. And one
Your
method
mic is low. I don't know. Your voice. Maybe you could speak up. Your voice is low.
I think it said VOC. I think it's the parent takes a replica of each cell and donate. So I think that's what you said. I think it's more like it.
Okay, see, this is how it is. Let me just simplify so we'll not spend so much time. We have just a little, we just have some time. We don't have the whole day. So mitosis, MIT, creates exact duplicates. The parent will have 4 cells and it would expand before it forms daughter. What will happen is it would, the parent now, he wants to form a daughter, he wants to give birth. Instead of it to just stay and, okay, I have 4 chromosomes, let me donate 2 to form a daughter and later regenerate myself to complete my 4 back. That's what happens in mitosis. But for in meiosis, but for mitosis, what happens is that before the parent forms a daughter, it would first duplicate itself times 2. So it had 4, it will first break down to form 8. Then once it has formed 8, it will then break that 8. We are saying, do virus contains, someone is asking question, do virus contain DNA or RNA? So now that question is that virus can have either DNA or RNA, but it can never have both of them at the same time. It can have both a DNA or an RNA, but it cannot have both of them at the same time. You get? So a virus that has DNA would not have an RNA. A virus that has RNA would not have a DNA. So just take that one as just by the way. We have not gotten to viruses, but I'm just trying to answer the question because I think I've seen this question before. So I'm answering that question now, but we'll still get to viruses. So now, while we are still here, we are trying to now go on. I don't know if I answered that mitosis question. The mitosis question is that when you have a parent, before the parent goes into what they call it, before a parent goes into forming of daughter for mitosis, it duplicates itself, then breaks off. Cell division is breaking. So the parent will first duplicate itself, then break off, so that the daughter will have exactly what the parent had. But for mitosis now, for meiosis now, the parent will just, from what it has, it will send off from what it has. And then once it has sent off maybe 2 from what it has, it will then, the daughter will be 2. The breaking, this is how it is in simple terms. Just like I say, meiosis happens almost instantly, where the parent will just say, okay, I want to give birth to, okay, I have 2 here now, I have 4 here now. Let me just spread this thing 2. So my daughter will have 2, while me I'll survive on 2 chromosomes. Then it will now break. Once it's separated, 2 for the daughter and 2 for itself, it will now break. So the daughter will cater for itself later. That's how meiosis happens. But for mitosis, the parents say, I want to form a daughter. I have 4 chromosomes. Instead of me wasting time to wait for my daughter to survive. Let me just create everything first. I have 4. I will create extra 4 of chromosomes for my daughter. Then now break once it is complete 8. I don't know if that picture is making sense. I don't know if that picture is making sense. Yeah.
It's
So
making
that's how you
sense.
actually happen. The parents would first, before mitosis, before the parents form a daughter, it will first cater for that daughter, prepare everything that the daughter needs. They now break up. But for mitosis, it will just break up and let the daughter take care of itself later. Then it will not take care of its own self. I think that if I want to say that, I'll say that's how some poor parents do. I believe nobody is poor in this call. I just believe nobody is poor in this call. So don't think I'm talking to anybody. But poor parents, they don't think of their children, how their children will survive. They just give birth to children and letting the children come to this life and take care of themselves. That's not really the nice way to go about things. It's always wise that parents should provide for their children before they come. Then when the children come, the children will have what they need to stay to survive. So just take this in your mind. This one is actually something that you can hold. You can just take it like that. Mitosis prepares for the child before it happens, while meiosis just brings the child coming forward for what he has. So, Michael, you have a question.
Yes, about I have a question from everybody about mitosis. You said it's where the parent cell differentiates or divides to form better cells. Does it also mean that they pick up the same genetic properties as the parent cell without differentiation? From the meiosis, we have where they divide and then they have different genetics. Does it mean that mitosis has the same genetic as that of the daughters, as that of the parents? I just want to get that clarification.
Okay, so now let me use an example. Now let me clarify this particular idea so it will be making clear. It will be making sense. So let's say every parent starts with 3 letters or with 4 letters. Every parent starts with 4 letters. Every parent has A, B, C, and D. Every parent has A, B, C, and D. So for mitosis, when a parent wants to form a daughter, the parent would first create 2A inside itself, create 2B inside itself, create 2C inside itself, create 2D inside itself. Then once that's completed all 4, it will then separate them and then break from the middle so that the offspring would have A, B, C, and D. And the parents will also have A, B, C, and D. So now, but for meiosis now, how it is that the parent has the same A, B, C, and D. Then instead of it to create a double A, double B, double C, it will just stay and just, okay, A, B, C, and D. Just separate A, 2 on one side, put A and B on one side, put C and D on the other side, and break. So then the daughter will now have C and D. Are you seeing it? So this is why the daughter will have what the parent previously had. You get it? But now, it's not everything that the parent had that the daughter would have. I don't know if that is making more sense now.
Yes, it is.
So that's just how it is. So now, somebody was asking for what haploid and diploid and let me see whether I can find that question. Haploid and let me see, where's the chat box now? So if you're going to ask that question, please, I don't know, I'm trying to navigate to my listening. Just ask your question with your speaker on. Just ask your question. Just if you can hear me, just ask your question and turn on your mic and ask your question so that I can hear you clearly.
Question. Does it mean that mitosis is haploid and meiosis is diploid?
Okay. Meiosis in meiosis is where they form haploid. Meiosis is where haploid happens. Why mitosis is where diploid happens. So just turn off your mic.
Chromosome divide.
Just turn off your mic. I would explain it now. So this is if you remember when I said parent has A, B, C, and D. Mitosis, we said before the parent would form what they call it, would form an offspring. It would duplicate what it has. So that is what they say it creates. It forms from a diploid chromosome. So that dye, remember the dye means two. It creates two copies of every single chromosome it has. That is, it has diploid number of chromosomes. So before it would form the offspring, it would first, if it had 24 before, it would duplicate all the 24 and make it 48. So that's a diploid. Then it now split from there. So while in meiosis now, we have the parent, let's say the parent has 24, and it wants to form an offspring, it would form haploid, that is, to form half of itself. It will give the offspring 12, can't hold 12. So that's why they say it's from the daughter has haploid number of chromosomes. I don't know if it's making more sense now. I don't know if it's making more sense now, but that's just actually how it is. Where for meiosis, they have haploid number of chromosomes, while for mitosis, they have diploid number of chromosomes. So that's just how it is, Sha. So in order for us not to spend so much time here, let me just go straight into the genetics, because we still have I think we still have questions to answer. We still have exam questions to answer. So we'll see whether this thing is actually entering our mind, because the questions are going to be exact exam questions. So now, Mendel's law now of inheritance. If something popped out to you when you saw this Mendel's law, that means you've been following. If the word law popped up to you in your mind that, oh, law, maybe this thing has been proven continuously to be true, then you've been following us since the beginning. Law, as I said, laws are something that are not just theory. So Mendel's law is something that it has been proven continuously and has been found to be continuously true. So what does this Mendel's law actually state? The principle tries to describe how traits are being passed from parents to offspring and how it is being formulated by the formula, the Geiger-Mendel's formula. So this Geiger-Mendel's law is made up of two different laws: the law of segregation and the law of independent assortment of gene. So what is the law of segregation and independent assortment? If you have any idea of what it is, just raise up your hand. Anybody has an idea of what the law of segregation means, or what the law of independent assortment means? Raise up your hand. We don't really have much time. Okay, let me not waste much time. So the law of segregation of gene, it means that for any trait, you have two alleles, one from the mom and one from the dad. So for every trait of a human, I'm trying to simplify what this segregation, the law of segregation means. You're trying to say that for every single trait in a DOCA, guys, if you want to get a child's eye, you would always have one from the mother, one from the daughter. So if a daughter would have the dad's eyes, it means it will need to have the dad's own gene that makes up the eye will be more stronger than the mom's own gene that makes up the eye. If you then go to the nose now, the same thing will happen. One from the mother, one from the father. If the dad still also has the stronger nose gene than the mom's own gene, the dad's dominant gene will be what will be noticed in the child. If you then go to the teeth and the mom's gene is stronger, so that what this law is saying, that there's always a kind of pairing of both the parent and the mother in every single formation. I don't know if I'm communicating at all. So this is where you see that formula that says parent has A, mother offspring has maybe AB or AS. So it's the same. That is the theory. This theory of segregation is what is responsible for that splitting that they always calculate to check whether someone that has an AA gene can marry someone that has an AS, because of the law of segregation, there would always be a donation from the parents and from both parents, from the mother and from the father. No matter what it is, there's always going to be a donation from the mother or the father. So now, based on this law, you can be able to predict what the offspring would probably have. So this is where they can be able to tell that, okay, an AS parent should not marry another AS parent, because due to the law of segregation of gene, the gene for the offspring to be formed, there would be a break of the parent's gene to get one of the parent's gene, and a break from the other parent's gene to form another deposit. The parents will deposit one of their gene, like the father will deposit one of his gene, the mother will deposit one of her gene, and they will join these two together to form the offspring. So that's what this law of segregation tries to talk about. But the law of independent assortment is what it tries to talk about, that it tries to tell which of these gene you would get from your parents. That's what this independent assortment tries to tell. It tells which of the alleles of the mother you get for a particular trait, and which of them you don't have anything to do with. I don't know if I'm communicating at all.
Um, excuse me, sir. I have a question.
Yeah,
These
I'm listening.
alleles, what are they?
Okay, alleles are just the words that try to tell what comes together to form a chromosome. They said that chromosomes, they are, if you look at them, how they draw them as two strands, or two, like I said, something that you two sticks that they join together at the center. Or no, let me not say two sticks. You have something like two threads that they tie together at the center to form something like an X. Let me use X. X is an example of a chromosome. But when you break X from the center, you are forming two alleles. Someone sent a message. I don't know. I didn't really see. Just you up. Okay. So as I was saying, a chromosome is made up of two alleles. So when, okay, yeah, I said come again. I thought I saw something like that. So when you break a chromosome into two, you form alleles. I don't know if it's clear like that.
Yes, it is clear.
So just see it like this now. When you have you have a chromosome. A chromosome, normally we always see a chromosome that looks like a twist of two strands. So an allele is just one, you can see that's one portion of that. So this is why they always say it's, when they say in simple terms, it's just like half of a particular chromosome. That's what an allele is kind of like. It's not 100% like that, but it's just like half of the information that is being trapped in a chromosome. So now, when parents try to come together to form offspring, they release an allele. So every offspring will take an allele from the father and an allele from the mother to form their own chromosome. I don't know if it's making any sense. Yes.
Please do. I have a question. I have a question. Speaking allele, as you said, it is a portion from each of from a chromosome. Does it mean that chromosome is made up of, is it 42? If I'm right, does it mean that
Yes.
one portion goes with 20 something, and then the other portion goes with the other?
Yes. It's made up of 46 chromosomes. Then 23 goes with the one set. The other one goes on the other set. Yeah, I think someone just gave a text description of the law of segregation of gene as it is in the textbook, in the chat. So in simple terms, alleles pair separate during gamete formation. So let me see whether I can see what the person said. Let me see read what the person said in the comments. Where is my comment section? Okay. I'm trying to read my comments. So I don't know if you are saying the law, this Mendel's law. Mendel gave two laws, and these two laws are the laws of segregation of gene and the law of independent assortment. So just note of that. So therefore, my screen seems to want to pop up that chat, that message. So as I was saying, having known that this thing is my chat is not showing. Let me just leave this chat off. So what now happens? Let me use my what I have in my slide to explain. So we'll see how we got to this point. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, just I want to see a thumbs up. I don't know if
We
anybody's
can't
We are
see it.
hearing
Oh, we
you.
can't see it.
You
Yeah,
cannot see my
don't
screen.
see it.
Can you see it now?
No.
Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes, can see it.
Okay, I think it was when I was trying to open the chat that it kind of disconnected that. So if you cannot see my screen, just maybe it's still trying to load. But I believe everybody should be seeing my screen now. So according to Diego Mendel, he was a monk that realized that when you mix these parents and two parents, that's mother and father, some rules come together to play out to be what the offspring would be. So when my I'm not really seeing, I'm seeing chats that are popping up, but I'm not really seeing the message. It's just I seem like as though my chat's end is tracking. So if you have a question, just say it in the chat so that I'll be able to hear what you're saying, because I don't know. I'm trying to juggle between the screen and the chat. Or maybe you just wait until when I ask for question, you get, so we'll not get distracted. So as I was saying, Gegomendel was a monk that discovered these two laws, and he was able to prove it, and it was proven to be true. He used what they call those peas, where he planted two that had different colors, and noticed that the offsprings were seeming to have traits from both parents. And it was now making sense why it actually happens in real human beings, why it happens also in real human beings. So he then saw that some type of these genes, some genes now, or some of all these traits, they tend to be dominant in the offspring, while some are not dominant. And for him to explain this thing, he then was able to propound these theories that he mentioned, the theories of segregation of genes, where these genes are contained in the alleles, and the alleles are being sent one by one to the offspring from each parent. Then also in the term of independent assortment, that these parents now is only the dominant one that will then be the one that will show forth in the offspring. So now, having spoken about how these genes are being, or these traits are being transferred from parents to offspring, there is now a case where something actually happens in between, or by the way, where the parent completely varies from the offspring. So when a parent completely varies from the offspring, a scenario that they call mutation has occurred. So mutation is a scenario where the offspring just develops a trait from nowhere that can never be traced to the parents. So when there's a trait that cannot be traced to the parent, that scenario is called mutation, where genes just tend to vary completely different from the parents. So it's called mutation. So in biological term, you see it as a permanent alteration of the DNA sequence that makes up a gene. So different reasons are why, or different cases of this mutation is what happens in sickle cells, what happens in chromosomal deletion, where a particular chromosome will be completely deleted from the offspring, and also insertion. So this mutation occurs when they occur for different reasons. Sometimes it could be different exposure, different environment can be responsible for these mutations. And in simple terms, mutations are the scenarios where the DNA gets altered to be completely different from the parent. I don't know if that is making sense. Where an offspring has an altered DNA, and sometimes I think they say sometimes this in humans, one of the ways that mutations can happen is when you expose yourself to radiochemicals or maybe nuclear chemicals. These things will penetrate your DNA and alter your DNA configuration, either by deleting something or by imputing something. One of the ways is either create something new, delete something, or alter something. Either it will introduce something new, delete something that's existing, or create something new. It will either alter it, insert something new, or delete something. So these are the ways that DNA or mutations can possibly occur. So that's what can happen that can make an offspring completely different from the parents, regardless of their gene composition. Where you can see a trait that is completely different from the parents. Neither of the parents had a particular trait. The parent does not have a particular thing. The father does not have. The mother does not have. But you see it in the offspring is as a result of mutation. So now, because of this slight variation that can happen and mutation that happen over years, we don't just have one type of cell anymore. So this is responsible for why we have diversities. So as I said, there are different reasons why these variations can happen. Sometimes it could be environment. Sometimes it could be different reasons. Environment could cause it. Many reasons could be the cause of this mutation. So, and this is what is responsible for the diversity of living things. So yes, they said at the beginning, if you remember the beginning of the lesson, we said all human beings, cell theory said that all cells come from previously existing cells. So now, if all cells come from previously existing cells, why is it that every human being don't look alike? First off, one of the reasons why they don't look alike is cell division. What is mutation? I said mutation is a scenario that occurs where the parents is a completely different or a complete alteration from this thing. But there's a complete alteration of the DNA sequence that makes up the gene of a daughter or of a particular organism at all, or a particular cell, where there's a permanent alteration in the DNA sequence that makes up a gene. Where there's a permanent alteration in the DNA sequence that makes up a gene. So now, as I was saying now, we're not saying that why is it that if the cell theory is true, why is it that the first cell does not look like what we have now? Why is that humans don't look alike? Why is that everybody cannot be traced to themselves exactly? Why can everybody not just look alike? Why is that some people have big nose? Why some people have slim nose? Why some people have pointed nose? Why? So the reasons for that is first of cell division. Cell division, where the cell might have broken in a form of what they call it, meiosis, where not all the traits of the parent is being transferred to the offspring. That's one of the reasons for diversity. Another reason is mutation. So due to these two things, mutations is what is responsible for why there is diversity, why animals don't always look alike, despite they come from previously existing cells. I don't know if that trail of thought is happening. We said at the beginning that we started from bubble gases. Then these gases came together, lightning strike these gases, and they formed and what they call it, the first molecule. Then these molecules started going together, they come and cluster in one corner, they form cell. Then these cells started undergoing cell division, started breaking, forming in different forms, started undergoing meiosis, undergoing mitosis to form these different things. Then some of them even underwent mutation to form even much different something. So that's what is responsible for the diversity of living things. That was responsible for the diversity of living things, the continuous variation. So the wide variety of abundance of different species and ecosystem is what we call the diversity of living things. It is the wide varieties and abundance of different species, ecosystems, and genetic variation in living things. So remember when we're talking about living things, we're talking about both plants and animals. So don't just think of only animals. Both plants also undergo all this cell division that we talked about, all these mutations we talked about, and all these things we're talking about. It's not just tied to only animals. So now, that aside, to stop this, if we now want to group everybody now, if the reason why taxonomy and systematics came up is so that they'll be able to group things and be able to trace them back to their ancestor. Either that, like, okay, now we said everybody now. If you look at the genealogy in the Bible, they'll say Abraham, father of Isaac, Isaac, father of Joseph. So if we wanted to do a kind of trace back to the initial parents, they then have to use what they call this taxonomy and systematics to trace things back to their parents. So that's why these things came about, to avoid chaos, to help things have a regular order. Taxonomy and systematics came about. So this is a scientific study of naming that helps in defining and classifying group of biological organisms. You get it? So taxonomy and systematics is actually what they try to use to tie things together to a beginning. So once you are able to draw things to their origin, that process of trying to link things, okay, cat looks like lion, lion looks like leopard somehow, but not exactly the same thing. So somehow you're not trying to branch them. Maybe they have the same organism, the same parents. Start checking from their gene. So that way, trying to zoom everything back, tracing them back to cell, is what they call taxonomy and systematics. So it's a form. There are different ways. It's a way that scientists are trying to get a unified way to understand things, to make things simplified. So they use one of the ways of taxonomy is binomial nomenclature, where they name things based on family and genus and all those boo stuff. Family, phylum, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So another one is categorizing them based on this kingdom and phyla. It's what they call taxonomy. I don't know. Somebody sent a message before. I don't know. I saw a message that popped up. My mind was on that. So as I don't know if you can understand the main. If you look at this image, the main thing is just trying to trace things back to their roots. That's the purpose of taxonomy. So we group every living thing into kingdoms, phyla, class, order, family, genus, and species. So it's just like trying to sort things based on department. So now you're in the department now. I think that's a good thing. You're trying to trace everybody to the same school. We'll start from matric number. Everybody has a unique matric number. But now, if you look at the matric number, if you've observed, everybody in your department has a similar digit in your matric number. If you notice, if you observe it very well, everybody in your department has a similar digit in your matric number. Everybody in the same level have the same matric number. So if I was to use my school, I school in Futo, my school, we use the year 2016. If your year is 2016, use 2016. Then your department will then follow by a number, maybe 19 or something like that. Then maybe some other digits again that would now help to identify you. So that's what will be your matric number. The combination of all this continuous categorization can help somebody trace you. So someone can just use from your matric number, be able to tell your department, be able to tell your level, be able to tell your faculty, and be able to tell your school. So we might not really know the way they categorize it, but that's actually the idea, taxonomy, trying to group things in a particular ordered format. So that's the idea. That such that you can say, okay, someone is from a particular school, Futo, in the faculty of this, department of that, level this. That's just how it is with name that. So even if somebody's name is maybe say Felicity Udo, your name is Felicity Udo, and you are in a particular department, say maybe department of chemistry, there might be another Felicity Udo in 300 level. There might be another Felicity Udo in biology department. But now how they can be able to call you this particular Felicity Udo is by saying the Felicity Udo that is in, let's say you are in Federal University of Technology, with the Felicity Udo that is in Futo and in the Faculty of Sciences, in the Department of Chemistry, in 300 level, and her name is Felicity Udo. So that way they will be able to filter and trace you down to the particular person you're talking about. So if I say I'm looking for Felicity Udo in Futo, I'm like, which of them? The one in School of Physical Sciences. Okay, I know there are 3. I think I know 4 persons like that in the department, in the faculty. Which one of them? Which department? So that's what this thing is doing. This taxonomy, and that's what they're doing. So you can be able to trace things down to either Kingdom Animalia or Kingdom Plantae or Kingdom Monera. That's just the idea, trying to trace things, group them in a broad grouping. So it deals with the classification of organisms. Somebody is pasting that down. So now there is now the idea that how did people now in this faculty of art and faculty of science end up to be so different if they actually came from the same admission list? How does it happen that people that are within the same faculty or close faculty tend to have, or yeah, let's say the same faculty tend to now have different behavior? So the reason why that kind of thing happens is because of what they call evolution. So evolution is the reason why they can see that, according to these silly people that say that, not really silly, but according to those people that say that humans come from ape. Okay, humans come from ape. Wow. They're not trying to say that the reason why humans now are different from humans then is because of evolution. That's why you can see a person of 20 or maybe thousands of years ago behaving different from a person of this year. So the reason for all these changes is due to evolution. And evolution is the change in inheritable characteristics of biological population over successive generations. So some of them will say that human beings are supposed to have tail, but because of over the past, humans were not using their tail. the body now evolved and say, okay, tail is no longer useful. The tail now reduce and disappear. That's what they said. That's what they said, but I don't believe that thing. But that's what they said. So that's phenomenon where they say when something becomes of less use and the body does not use most of the time, it then tends to disappear in their successive offspring. It's called evolution, where things change based on how they inherit them from their parents, based on the use. So how this thing now happens is what they call the law of natural selection. According to Darwin, Charles Darwin, he said that this law of natural selection is what is responsible for what is transferred. What is used the most is always going to be seen the most. What is used the most is always going to be seen the most. So if you don't use your left hand more, the scientists are predicting that if you're not a left-handed person, you don't use your left hand at all. Time will come when your generation, the person's generation in front will no longer have left hand, because the body will say, okay, this left hand is useless. So instead of us feeding this left hand, let us shrink this left hand so that human being will have only one hand. That's what they believe. So in case you're not using your left hand to do anything, learn, no, so your children will have left hand too. I'm just joking though, but that's just the idea. They said there is a kind of natural selection, and another way that this natural selection plays out is that if you are not strong, you will not survive. There's another way that this natural selection plays out. They say that nature always tries to select out people that are the weakest, and it eliminates people that are the weakest. That's what Charles Darwin said. He said that there's a process whereby organisms that are better or that tends to adapt better to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. So that's what the law of natural selection tries to talk about. Say that anything that can be able to survive, I think that's the reason why Nigerians will survive, because Nigerians, they can survive very well. All these people, that's why white people, we cannot see white people like that much in Nigeria. They don't survive. Or people from the West, not white people. There's nobody that is white. People from the West, their environment, they would not survive this climate. And even some Nigerians or some black people in Nigeria, they will not survive the next generation. So those people that are thinking that maybe they should be gay, either lesbian or gay. No, this is supposed not to. I'm not supposed not to use those words, but anybody that feels that they should not be, they should be homosexual. If you choose to be homosexual, tell me how you'll be able to survive the next generation, how you can be able to get offspring. If all the males die because a female did not agree to stay with male, the female by themselves will also die. Simple. Because the female need the male to survive. So if they don't learn how to adapt, only people that have what they call it, only ladies that have husband can be able to give birth to offspring. Only men that have wives can be able to give birth to offspring. So anybody that, or any being that marries woman and woman, they'll continue going and they'll get extinct because they did not adapt. I don't know if you are understanding. Nature will say these people, they are not really, they cannot produce offspring, and because that they cannot survive, and for them they will be completely extincted. So that's just how it is. Once you are you're not able to adapt to environment, except maybe if there's any possibility of women to start donating sperm, and that's going to be possible. But if it cannot happen, then they will definitely become extinct if things should play out. If all the people that choose to be straight choose to go to another country and leave all the people that are choosing to be homosexual in their own country, it will come out to be that with time, if those homosexual people don't find a way to adjust, they will become extinct because nature will filter them out. So that is it. Only those homosexuals that can be able to think straight and say, okay, maybe we need these people to be able to survive. So that is how it is. What you feel is useless will be removed from you. So that's by the way. I'm just trying to use this analogy because I think it's a clear analogy that can be understood by any logical person. So this is the idea now in clearer form. Don't worry, let's not go into that particular aspect. Maybe on a different time we'll go into what it means. But that is just by the way. I'm just trying to bring that particular idea because I'm trying to buttress a particular point. So now, according to the law, they say we should imagine that a campus cafeteria. Now let's see how this thing would play out in this our hostel analogy. Because when we had a campus where they only give food to people that are tall, what would happen to the short people? All of them would not be able to survive, they will die. So that is how it happens. If there is a rule, they believe that there is a rule that strictly isolate people that are not able to survive or not able to cope. They will isolate them and they will be extinct. If they cannot survive, if they cannot adapt, nature will by itself eliminate them. So that's what the law of natural selection is trying to talk about. So in order not to dwell so much on this, it's clear by itself. I think it should be self-explanatory. The Lamarck was one that actually tried, one of the persons that tried to think of this theory. So he had a different theory that was totally wrong. If you see, they called it a theory. If you've been following, it should be making sense why some theories are not true now. They called it a theory. And according to him, Lamarck thought that if a short student stretched their neck really hard every single day, their kids would be born with long necks. Because see what we were trying to talk about before, so you understand why I'm giving this example here. I said, imagine that a campus cafeteria only serves food on very high shelves. Short students will starve and tall students will eat and survive and pass their tall DNA to their offspring. So now that's what the theory is, the theory of natural selection. But now there was not somebody that was not saying, okay, there's another theory that states that, let me see what Lamarck said. He said that he proposed that inheritance of acquired characteristics can be adjusted. So now, see the flaw of his own theory. He now said that, what if this short student now start stretching their neck very well, Maybe it's for some reason their children will now have long neck. Some people will say that thing makes sense, that maybe it's true, but it does not make sense because we know that it's not true. That theory is not true. It's not by what the parents struggle to do. If the parents cannot find a way to survive, their children would most likely not be able to come out. They will not be able to have children. If a parent cannot be able to find a way to give birth to offspring, they will never be able to survive. It's not only whether they can be able to start making use of. I don't know if you are getting the picture. The last year, when I was trying to say that maybe the reason why giraffes had long neck or because they were stretching their neck, then the parent, the offspring started having longer necks. It seems like as if it is true or it's logical, but in real sense, that's not the truth. It's not the truth. So the real reason for traits to be transferred between parents is the DNA rather, and the idea of independent assortment of gene and segregation of gene. That's the theory that is actually true. That's why they call that particular one a law. They did not call it a theory. It's a law. So even the theory of evolution is also a theory of evolution. It's not proven. There are places that I think it fails. So Lamarck's own theory also failed because he was saying that when people grow or they try to stretch their neck too much, there will be a point where the offspring will start having long neck. It was actually a fallacy. It was proven not to be true. So now, that aside, now we can then go into ecology. Ecology is actually the study of a particular habitat. Let's see how we have it here. It is the branch of biology that deals with the relations of organisms one to another in their particular environment. So this is the study in biology that tries to observe how two organisms can be responsible for the survival of the other ones. So Lamarck was saying that, okay, the short people, if they stretch their necks too much, they can be able to survive. That's when they will be able to survive. So what if there was a scenario where the tall people now get food and give to the short people? Because of the relationship that the tall people have with the short people. If a short lady in that kind of school makes a boyfriend with someone that is a tall guy, she will be able to still pass on her short gene to her offspring because she was able to interact. So that's how ecology was able to kind of question that Lamarck's theory. Lamarck was thinking that maybe he did not pay attention to the fact that there could be interaction between different organisms, and those interactions could be responsible for these organisms surviving and also being able to transfer their genes continuously, despite their genes are not relevant. You get? So that's what this ecology is trying to show. It's trying to show how the interaction between organisms and their environment can help them survive in a particular ecosystem. So the ecosystem now, in simple terms, is that particular community that has a group of organisms that are able to transfer or be able to produce, continuously succeed. So I'm trying to hurry now. You notice I'm kind of trying to hurry so that we could get to the end of the story or the end of this lesson. Or maybe I will not rush this lesson. Maybe I'll just end the class.
Please bring up the ecosystem back, please, for just a minute.
Okay, yeah. Okay, it's a biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment. So when you talk about an ecosystem, you're talking about all the organisms there and their environment. So if you look at your ecosystem currently now, is you are in the Nigerian ecosystem. We are surrounded by Nigerian people, both the wicked ones and the wicked American people might not be exactly the same as the wicked Nigerian people. Wicked Nigerian people might be using juju, or wicked American people might be using something different, might just be very, very mean. They might be racial, they might be discriminating you, making you have low self-esteem. So because of that, you evolve differently. So now, Nigerian people now, there is a way that Nigerian people will begin to think, begin to behave, that is gotten based on their environment. So that's what ecology tries to do, try to study organisms based on the environment that they are. Study of organisms and their environment. That's what ecology is. So now, ecosystem now is that group of surviving organisms within a particular environment. So I'll be stopping this lesson here. I'll stop the lesson here. Just so that I don't rush and skip because the goal is not really just rush. We still have several other stuff. We have biological association, we have climatic change, we have biological molecules where we talk about carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. We have enzymes. Maybe what would happen is I would share the link to this my slide. It's actually a website. I will share this link to this website to you guys on the group. Then you can study it. It's an interactive screen. It's a slide, it's kind of website just for this particular class. So you just use it. It's an ordered lesson so that you can just use it to go through, look at this one after the other, see the flow, read the script because this script is going to help you understand. If you're following this lesson, you should be able to follow this script. So I'll be calling this lesson because I think I have something I'm engagement I'm supposed to be doing now. So
some of us are.
does anybody have any questions before we call it up? Just maybe our questions.
Some of
We
us
have
are
another
not on the
biology class.
group.
Today is Monday. Probably on Wednesday, we might have another biology class either on Wednesday or Thursday. So do well to be around.
Some of us are not on the group.
Okay, you're not on the group. 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 See this link up here. Okay, let me drop this link on this chat. I'll drop the link on this chat. Just copy it on the chat. Let me send it to this chat now. You'll see me dropping it on the chat now here. So the link is on the chat now. You will see it now. You can just type it out by yourself. Biology slides. That's just it there. So if you're not on the group, just click on the link and there you go. You should have this slide or this website. But if you cannot, you don't know how to navigate through this to get the chat box. If you don't know how to get this to the chat box, just write biology dash, that is like minus the dash, not the dash that is down on the ground, the dash, biology hyphen slides hyphen 9 dots. So just you should see it there.
On YouTube.
No, just on your normal Chrome. On normal Chrome, just go on Chrome. Type that link. Just type that link and just press enter. You should see this website. At least I will keep this website on till you guys' exam is over. It's a website I built precisely for this class so that I can be able to have this lesson much conveniently. So you will not really see this anywhere. Sorry. You will not see this website
Please,
anywhere.
can you just
Can I do what?
just repeat what you just said about the slide?
Okay, I said this slide, you would see this slide on the group. But if you don't have this slide on the group, sorry, turn off your mic. Ogochukwu, turn off your mic so you can be able to hear me. I think there's a noise that your mic is making.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, no problem. So as I was saying, I said you would get this particular slide on the link in this chat. So if you don't know where this chat is, just you will see in that your down place where you can end the call. You look at it where you can mute your mic. Just look for the three dots that is there. Click on that three dots. Then you will see in chat, among the things that you see on the page that you see, click on in chat. Then you will see my message. You will see my message, mass tutorial. Mass tutorial. I can't tell for now. I can't tell for now because based on the demand. If you remember when I posted on the group, I said people should drop their if you are on a normal community. Okay, I think this one was for people on the community. Ask whether your two most difficult subjects. Then based on the highest subjects, people dropped chemistry, biology, and physics for sciences. So by tomorrow there will be physics by tomorrow. There will be physics by tomorrow. Then after physics, now the next day, you say you can't see the notes. Someone should drop it on the chat. If you're on the chat, just sit here. I'll be pasting it again. I'll paste it again now. You'll be seeing the person that said I can't see the notes. See the link now. This is the link. It's not really a note, just this link that you're seeing here. Click on it to take you to the slide. Yeah. So that will be all for today's lesson, and I will be seeing you guys in our next lesson. So good night, everybody. In case you don't have the link, if you have a friend, wherever you were able to get the link, wherever you're able to get this meeting link, ask the person. The person might know somebody that knows somebody. The person might be able to know somebody that. Okay, so just you'll be able to see every other. You can be able to get information. The group is free to join. Just do well and join the group. And again, before you leave on YouTube, if you're on the group, there is a link that will be dropped where this particular lesson will be posted. In case you were not or you're having network issues, this lesson will be uploaded on YouTube so that you can watch it at your convenience. So be uploaded by today, so that by tomorrow you should see it on the. Somebody is asking anyone with the group link.
Okay.
If anybody has a group,
send my
so anybody, if you have
the WhatsApp group link.
Yeah, the WhatsApp group link. If you have the WhatsApp group link, the active WhatsApp group link, just paste it there, or whoever gave you the link, how you got the link to get to this call, just ask the person. The person will definitely have an access to the group, or somehow. Anyhow you get to find this particular call, you will be able to find it. You get so, or maybe on a second way, maybe I might add the group link to the first page of this slide, but that will be in a little bit. I'll add the group link on this slide. If you have this slide, maybe just come back to this slide in an hour time. I'll add a button here, WhatsApp group link, so you can join this 1 hour after now. You can be able to join this. I'll add the WhatsApp group link, and maybe by tomorrow you should also be able to see the YouTube group link if you still have this slide. So see you guys in our next lesson. Goodbye. So somebody has posted the group link on. Somebody has posted the group link on the chat. So see you guys when I see you. Good night.
Scholar. ASAP. Ta ló ń fẹyín yìí? Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ kú ẹ kí n kọ́ yín biology. Let me take you biology. I just need 30 minutes of your time. Ẹ kí n kọ́ ẹ̀yin yòókù ní biology. Gbogbo yín máa sálọ tán ni. Mira tó jí. Felicity Udoh. Nwosu Chimbuonu. Christy. Ah, ṣé tí gbogbo yín jí ni? Mo sọ pé kí n kọ́ ní biology kò sẹ́ni tó reply. Yá náà. Kí n kó nǹkan. Náà gbogbo yín ò ní nǹkan ṣe.